My name is John Miller, and I am the Soil Health Program Manager for the Colorado Department of Agriculture. And today we're going to be talking about the Colorado Soil Health Program and how it benefits producers as they make their way on their soil health journey.
John Rizzo, I'm a West Slope Soil Health Coordinator. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss this with you guys. So, Miller, why don't you tell us a little bit about the program, what it is, and how the Colorado Soil Health Program can help producers?
You bet. The Colorado Soil Health Program is a fairly new program, um, only started in 2022. We've came a long way since the beginnings of the program, but our stated goal is to encourage the widespread adoption of soil health practices throughout the state of Colorado. And by doing so, to increase the producer's bottom line and help them make their operations more resilient in the face of economic hardships and ongoing drought. Producers also receive education and outreach about these different practices. So we talk to them, bring professionals to talk to them about different how to implement different practices and help them as they work out the kinks and figure out how to work these different types of scenarios into their operations. Producers receive incentive payments to participate in the program as well to help them to take a little bit of the bite out of the cost of implementing these new practices. Producers also receive in-depth laboratory soil analysis and assistance from our technical field people to help them to understand what that analysis means, as well as assistance with soil moisture monitoring to help them better understand the relationship between soil and water on their field.
So, how would a producer relate the soil health principles to the goals that they might have on their property, Miller?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they look at a specific end goal or a resource concern that they're trying to address, it's hard for them to determine how a specific practice is going to equate to a solution to maybe their concern or their problem, or how that specific practice is going to lead to that end goal. So there's lots of different ways that we can go down this path. Let's say producers are having issues with infiltration and runoff. This can be addressed by increasing soil organic matter, which there's a number of different soil health practices and principles that can help with that increase. Additionally, perhaps producers are dealing with weed pressure and pest pressure. Again, there's a number of different practices that we work on that we could help them, that we can talk to them about implementing that would help them to take care of this pest pressure.
What's the difference between what a producer is doing now and what the soil health program could help them with as they want to move into and transition into trying some different practices?
Right. So a lot of people, they get into the groove of doing a particular practice, a particular rotation, and maybe it's hard for them to see outside of see alternatives to that practice. So, for instance, would be people who are kind of stuck in the conventional tillage rut, and they are constantly using tillage implementation to get their fields beds prepped, which is maybe causing them to have issues with stability of their soil aggregation, water runoff problems, things like that, water quality problems, erosion, which is very frequent when people start to do a lot of tillage if they're not careful when they water. So what we can offer is expertise to discuss with them how they can transition out of that typical tillage situation and look more at some alternatives like no-till drills, strip tillage, and other types of tillage situations. These can be hard changes for people to make, but with the right type of technical assistance, with some knowledge that they might hear from like local experts in their area, we can help them to address some of the concerns they have with making that change. Some of these things, if they're not implemented correctly, can be very difficult to deal with later in the season. And obviously we know that can affect people's yield. So we want to go about this in a thoughtful manner as people change from certain practices and try to implement some of these newer, more innovative type things.
think that's a great point. You talk a little bit about changing your tillage, but additionally, how about we consider something related to integrating your livestock? When we do change tillage and we do integrate livestock, we can cause compounding effects, if you will. So, what can a producer do to put these things together in a functioning system on their current operation? And how would our program, the soil health program, help them take advantage of those benefits that they could get out of that?
Sure. When we talk about these practices, we really need to think of them as a suite of practices. So, um, a good way to reduce that compaction is to ensure that you have a continuous living plant out there with its roots in the ground, helping to break that up. We can look at implementing a new rotation into their cropping system. We can bring in cover cropping or companion planting that lives with their cash crop or is there in the off season. This allows them to keep that soil from just crusting over, being, it helps to actually retain moisture. It might seem counterintuitive to have more plants out there longer, but actually having that living plant out there and the residue from those additional plantings helps us to retain that moisture. So many people, what they'll do in cases of implementing livestock is, they'll go from their original cash crop, rotate into a cover crop, and then they'll find a neighbor who needs some good quality, high quality feed for their cattle, and they'll bring the cattle out there once that cover crop's up knee high, and they'll graze it down. This allows them to have roots there in that off season, keep that soil covered, keep something alive there on the ground, and also allows them to bring animals in. Those animals do the work for you. They work the organic matter into the ground, which also helps with compaction issues and infiltration problems without people having to be involved in bringing spreaders out there. So um, again, oftentimes implementing one practice might be the way to go to just get your feet under you, but I like to think of it as a journey where that first practice is kind of the first step, and we need to look at other ways we can bring things in. These practices are going to be totally specific to each operation and each individual, the type of rotation that they're doing, the specific cropping system that they're working with, their climate where they live. So all this is going to be very localized, which is again why we want to put people in touch with those local resources and have technical assistance providers that are local to those areas to talk to them.
It sounds to me like we're really trying to help folks get their foot in the door to adopt some long-term solutions to help them be more resilient to whatever factors are coming, whether it be pest pressures, less water, all these. How would a producer utilize the soil health program to set the stage in a way that makes sense for them in their operation to continue to bring in opportunities for markets and sell their product and also provide for the future of their operation?
Yeah, so these practices not only have long-term benefits when people can get them implemented and dialed in correctly, they also have economic benefits. Namely, people end up sort of driving on the field less. They end up making less trips. If they can implement these things intelligently and eventually get them dialed into work for them, they increase that bottom line, which helps everybody's resilience when it comes to agriculture. Also, any type of increase in soil health helps with water retention on that field, and water is always a huge issue in Colorado, as we all know. If we can increase soil organic matter, it's one step in the right direction towards making every drop count, whether it falls naturally from the sky or we're putting it on with irrigation. These things are really, really important towards resilience for ag in Colorado. They might be the most important thing we can do for resilience in ag in Colorado. Number one, that bottom line, the economic portion of it. Number two, making your water count. Water is key to everything here we do in the West.
I really appreciate that. And I think another piece of this puzzle is that our program allows for a producer to do a lot of things that they may traditionally do to reach those yield goals that they may have. but also allows for room for them to try some of these new and innovative ideas that they may have been dancing around for years. I think we can help with setting the stage to accomplish those things. One other key piece of this program that I feel is really a benefit is our opportunity to have farmer to farmer field tours, discussions, and other avenues where we can have folks sharing their ideas. So how do we look at helping producers get together to share ideas amongst one another from our program's perspective?
Yeah, you know, a main leg of our program is our partnerships with our local administrative entities. We work with a lot of conservation districts and other conservation entities around the state to help us to not only bridge the gap to talk to these producers and reach out to them and meet them, but also to help us organize things like you're talking about, where we have get-togethers. A big part of our program is to encourage local field days, field tours. We do a lot of participation in conferences and soil health conferences and things like that. So we really are, you know, wanting to get those groups together locally to discuss this stuff, almost neighborhood by neighborhood in a lot of situations, right? So there's that part of it. We also are working on a peer-to-peer learning pilot program where we are working out the best way where we can come into these communities and help to train people to hold these events on their own without the state necessarily be involved. And that way we can really encourage that discussion between farmers. Also, through this program where we offer webinars and through face-to-face meetings and field tours, we're really in those field tours and webinars, we're wanting to introduce people to the people that are around them and get this conversation going of what is happening in this area with this specific type of crop that people are growing, and how are people making advances here towards that more resilient farm. You know, you often can drive by fields and see what people are doing and maybe not know who's out there or exactly how they're implementing what you're seeing. But what we want to do is bridge that gap and make that connection between these people that are being really successful and ones that are maybe wanting to just take a look and see how they can maybe start their way down this path as well.
That's great. And I think the CDA is working on really trying to help producers build a roadmap for what they're doing and how they're trying to implement new and innovative practices. What kind of opportunity is there to assess the challenges that a producer might be facing when they're trying to implement these and be able to share those out?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up about the roadmap. This is when people enroll in this program, it is a 3+ year process. You know, and when they first start, I think the goals that they might have and the plans that they have to address those goals might be completely different from what we're seeing at the end. After they've been in the program and spent a few years working with us and us working with them and trying new different things and going to these type of education and outreach events. And then, you know, we really, by the end, I think people will be feeling a lot more comfortable with some of these things. As far as challenges, you know, there are a lot of challenges to trying new things. And we have always wanted to keep this program to where it's encouraging experimentation and innovation. And with experimentation and innovation can come failure. So again, you know, we want to help if you do have a failure in your first year of trying something, we want to help you. We want you to help us learn why that was a failure, and us to help you learn why that's a failure. And then as we roll into the second year, we can talk about ways we can maybe shift that practice a little bit, maybe change planting dates or what was specifically planted or how livestock was integrated or the specific type of implementation used when we did the tillage reduction. And we want to look at those things and say, how can we tweak that a little bit to try to make this be successful in the second year? So we're really trying to address that, you know, that learning curve and help people through that tough time. As I said in the very beginning, we offer some incentive payments to people who enroll to help take some of the bite out of that learning curve. So it's not just coming out of their pocketbook, and we're able to provide a little bit of funding too to help them to address the costs that are associated with trying that new thing, and maybe make it palatable for them to do the initial experimentation.
Yeah, having that multi-year opportunity is very unique and provides space for a producer to dial in that practice or whatever they're trying to implement and be able to set sail without additional assistance after the end of the program. So that's pretty cool. So what are some of the next steps, say a producer pretty intrigued by the conversation we're having right now, for them to be a part of the soil health program and potentially get enrolled in this program?
You bet. Yes. So you would want to reach out to the Colorado Department of Agriculture to our email address, cda_soil@state.co.us, and let us know that you're interested in this program. And we can help to get you to the correct partner that would assist with your enrollment. We'd also get you in touch with our technical assistance providers, our on the ground people that are out there talking to producers interested in this program. And they'll get talk to you on the phone, come out to you, look at what you're hoping to accomplish, help to walk you through some of the steps, and discuss some of the process with you, and then we'll help to get you through the paperwork, which is pretty easy to get through, in my opinion, as far as paperwork for things like this go.
That's great. So we look forward to having people reach out. Let us know if we can help you.
Thank you.